All right. Hi, Nicola. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to finally get you on. I know it's been a while waiting for for us to meet, so it's good that we finally got together today to talk about professional development in ELT. So let's start off as we always do, Nicola, just by learning a little bit about you, your journey, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so my journey into ELT was accidental, which I think is the same for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I got out of university, didn't know what I was doing because I had a degree in philosophy, and I had a friend who was doing the TEFL course, so I just thought, well, I'll just go and do that with her, and then realised it was a passport to anywhere I wanted to go. So off I went, and I just did that for ages. I ended up in places that I had adamantly said, "Oh, I'm never going to go there. Why would I want to go there?" But it was only because I didn't know anything about those places, and then I got the opportunity. So I'm like, "Oh, I'll go there." And they some of those places, Thailand and Prague, were places I'd never intended to go. So I really milked that passport for all it was worth. And then I kind of got into just mostly private teaching, and from there materials writing. I did a couple of quizzes for the BBC. This is years ago now because a friend didn't want to do it and passed it to me, and that just kind of led on to writing graded readers, and then that should have led on to really serious ELT writing, but the industry's changed quite a lot. So you're just kind of
Hmm.
one of many jobbing writers writing bits and pieces here and there. I have got some books under my name, but I never became a course book writer, which is what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And from there, any kind of writing I do now. It's not just ELT writing, but I've really learned how to create educational products.
Yep.
So when I then in my own personal life started asking myself questions about money, because I didn't have any, apart from some savings, but I certainly wasn't earning very much money. And I just was going, right, what do I do with my savings? Because I can't buy a house. I can't do any of that proper grown-up stuff. And my sister was always nagging me about not having a pension. So I just slowly worked out, what do you do about pensions? What do you do about investing? What is it? How do you do it? And from there, either I was going to go and try and have a degree in finance and a new career, which was completely impractical because I've got two small
Hmm.
children, no way I could go back to university full time. So I just thought, what's my skill set? And it is writing educational materials. So I wrote a course about investing for ELT teachers because
Amazing.
no one tells us about money.
No, that's a great point. It really is. And I think you touched on a really good point as well, Nicola, is that now we can't just really focus on one specific thing if we want to be, sustainable. We have to try to adapt and be kind of able to pivot to different things, which is what you've done, it seems, in this case. So what kind of CPD were you offering when you were teaching?
Well, I wasn't really offering the CPD. It was more like I was experiencing it. So,
Yeah.
I was offered all the things that everybody is normally offered, how to teach grammar better, how to teach kids better, how to
Hmm.
use flashcards, and I attended lots of great training run by lots of really enthusiastic people. But what was missing was, the actual part of what makes a job professional and not a hobby is getting paid and
Yes.
money. And there was never anything about that. There was never anything about, oh, do you know what the pension setup is in this country where you're working? Let us help you get a pension sorted. None of that stuff. It just didn't exist. And I was told by somebody who had been in a meeting at a language school years, I don't know how long ago it was, and she said that the topic of pensions came up at that language school, and they were like, oh no, we don't want to get open that can of worms, because of course
Right.
TEFL doesn't give you a workplace pension the majority of times unless you work for the British Council. So,
Hmm.
and I've worked for some of the big chains, so it's not like, oh, it's only because you're working for a little local language school. No, it's just not industry standard. So you've got all these people that have actually deliberately been prevented from learning about that because their employer doesn't want to make them think, oh, I should be getting a workplace pension.
Why do you think it is that these come? Is it just a money issue, or is it legal issues? What are the barriers then for people having the information they need and having the security they need?
I think because they're not legally obliged to provide that information, they don't. And
Hmm.
because, a lot of teachers pass through quickly and they just don't want to, like my friend said, open a can of worms, because they will, if you're going to give somebody a workplace pension, you have to contribute to it. Well, you don't want to do that because you're skimping on pay. So why would you, you know
Right.
also pay into a pension for that person? And I think TEFL schools just don't care that people will retire with nothing. if they
Yeah.
stay in the profession. So,
It,
and they don't tell them.
I think as well, something we've talked about a lot in previous episodes is this mindset that people have towards TEFL teachers or ESL teachers. Well, actually, a lot of us are very skilled. We do have a lot of qualifications, a lot of experience. But because when you hear those three letters, ESL or TEFL, those four letters, you just have that perception of, oh, young, 20
Mm-hmm.
something, just out of uni.
Backpacker.
Yeah, I'm just here for a bit of experience, a bit of fun, travel the world, which I can't deny to some extent that might be true. There's a reason why that stereotype does exist to some extent. But when, for me now, just in my mid 30s, it's just, you have those conversations with schools and kind of they tell you, okay, well, this is the pay, this is the hours, and again, I think to myself, I'm sure you think this too, Nicola, like, am I the bad guy? Am I the idiot here? Am I the one that's being rude, kind of asking these questions
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to know more? So
Yeah.
it's really nice that you have identified that I guess that gap and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of that huge issue, and that you started to take action, with that. So again, financial security is something that we don't really think about when we start out in this career. So why do you believe understanding how to build financial security should be a part of professional development in ELT? Why is this so important?
Well, because it's part of your professional life, because like I said,
Hmm.
it's not a hobby. And if the industry is not very well paid, but if you learn about investing and if you learned it in your 20s from your first ESL school or, whatever, they would set you up for life. Because the thing is, when you start in your 20s, which is, I think I was 24 when I first started TEFL teaching, and I probably
Hmm.
didn't take it seriously until I was about 29, 30. But if I'd started at any of those ages, knowing about why you have a pension, or even not necessarily a pension, but why you put money somewhere that it can accumulate and grow by itself, you can turn somebody into a millionaire by the time they retire, and they don't have to put a massive amount of money in. If you are investing about 400, let's say, dollars or pounds or euros or whatever is the sort of
Hmm.
market currencies, if you're investing that per month, you will retire a millionaire.
Yep.
And that's just because the maths.
That
And it's
sounds
just because of the maths
crazy when
over
you say
time,
that.
and it's crazy.
But it's true. It sounds
Yeah.
crazy when you say that, but it is true. And I think, that would be a message that we would share with everyone listening, because we have people at all stages of their teaching journeys. And even if you're not, seriously, doing this as a full-time income, just put aside two, three, even something
Yes,
aside
something.
every month and get into that habit of doing that. And you will find with compounding interest, even with all the instabilities in the financial markets, like as you know, Nicola,
Mhm.
provided you're just, putting that money in consistently and persistently, making it a habit over time, compounding will hopefully take care of that. So after, I don't know the exact math on this, you can probably help me more. But if I started saving at, let's say, 21, when I was probably in my 40s, even, I'd have at least six
Yeah.
figures, maybe
You'd be
even
buying
more.
a house.
Yep.
You'd be
Yep.
buying a house off that money. And it's just, I honestly think it sounds crazy to say there's a conspiracy, because it's not exactly active,
No.
but I don't think rich people who run society, who went to Eton and are loaded and are in
Hmm.
Parliament, really want everybody else to know that they could probably start working in their 40s
Hmm.
if they wanted to,
Yeah, it's a great
because you
point.
have enough money. And there's that's not profitable for a country to have everybody do that. And I don't teach the FIRE thing,
Hmm.
financial independence, retire early. I don't
Right.
teach that. I just teach, here's what you can do with your money.
Yep.
These are the options. This
Yep.
is how to know what you're doing, and the mass is going to take care of this for you. And I am mostly, my reach is mostly people in their 40s and 50s at the moment, and the people who are sort of going, oh my God, I haven't got anything set up.
Yeah.
But if I can reach people in their 20s, you can stay in TEFL for your whole life. You don't need to earn loads of money. If
Absolutely.
you love teaching, go for it forever. Because if you invest, you'll have your finances taken care of, but it's a long-term thing. It's
It
not
is.
an overnight get rich stuff. I don't teach any of that. It's what you're saying. It's the compounding over time so that you can retire, or retire early, or buy a house.
And how many people you speak to say, "Oh, Nicola, I wish I knew this when I was 21 or 25," or
Everybody.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm really glad that we did, talk about this, because, the biggest concern, the biggest problem that I hear about from other teachers in the industry is doesn't pay enough. I'm not getting paid enough. I don't have any savings. I don't have any money. And and I get why it can be an attractive lifestyle for some people starting out. And I was the same, I moved to Korea when I was 22. I lived there for 4 years. But what I did was every month when my pay came in, I would transfer half of it home, out of the way, don't have to think about it. And
Yeah,
then I could live off the other half. And then
good for you.
when I finished after, well, this is the problem, Nicola, so I'm going to get
Oh,
into, which is you're going to hopefully help us with this. After 4 years, I went back to the UK and I thought, oh, I've got this nice chunk of money saved up. Um, yeah, I think I can. I think I need a car now. Yeah, I think I need to buy a better place. And then you get into that mode, and
hmm.
I didn't, not that all the money disappeared, but a chunk of it went. Where if I was a bit wiser and a bit older, and I had the knowledge that you share with everyone, I could have thought, you know what, I've got this chunk here. Let's invest it. Let's,
Hmm.
I don't know, buy a property. Let's make it work in terms of in the long term, and then the other things will fall into place. But I made that mistake, which I'm sure a lot of other people do. So,
Everybody, me too.
what are the challenges then that teachers face? How can they kind of tweak their mindset, and how can they approach this as a long-term game?
Well, one is you really do need to increase your income. That is the first thing you need to do. What you can do professionally to mean that you earn more money is obviously going to be better for you, and it will mean that you can invest more, and then it will
Hmm.
grow faster. So that's the first thing, because you can't really invest your way to riches, but you can earn your way to it.
Yes.
So that's the first one. And then the second one is lose the idea that in order to be a good person, you have to not care about money, or in order to care about education, you have to not care about money. It's perfectly okay to care about both of those things, and it doesn't
Hmm.
say anything bad about you. And then it's, do some basic things. Saving is really good. And some people really, they're not savers, they are spenders.
Yeah.
So just develop that habit like you did of saving regularly, because like you say, you won't notice the money. It will just be another one of those things that goes out of your account that you don't notice. So a regular automated thing, an amount of money that goes out of your account and goes somewhere, but it's what that somewhere is, and it
Yes.
shouldn't just sit in a savings account,
No.
because the bank is investing that money and making a load of money off it, but you're not. So you need to just learn. And this is the thing, like the course that I teach is 6 weeks, and it's I've trimmed as much of the fat as I can, but you really have to learn about all of it. It's not enough to just go crypto, I'm going to do that, because that's not investing anyway. It's gambling basically.
Yeah.
So a lot of TEFL teachers, or some of the ones I've spoken to anyway, that are younger, they're very tech savvy, and
Hmm.
they've got a kind of risky. It's funny, people will often take quite big risks with this stuff because it's so exciting, and they end up in the crypto basket, and that's not really where you want to be. A lot of people
No.
lost a lot of money doing that. So you need to learn about what are all the different things that you can invest in, and then you build a balanced portfolio, it's called, which sounds really, it just means group of things that you invest in, but it's an off-putting
Yes.
word and it makes
Yes.
people
When people
nervous.
hear that, they think, oh, that sounds so boring. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was one of those people. I was
Yep.
just like, boring, but it's not actually boring. But the thing is, you don't need to be interested in it. Just learn it, set it up, forget about it. Because
Yes.
this way of investing is not about watching the markets. It's not about listening to financial reports. It's not even about caring about it.
No.
It's just a thing that goes out of your account and then it works away all by itself. And some of the things that I'm invested in are just there for the growth.
Hmm.
They will grow over time, and one day I'll take the money out. And the other things, they are invested, but they pay out income. So
Yes.
again, it's hard to explain the whole thing, but they pay out income, and I get lovely emails every day telling me, "Oh, you've made this much money today." And I
Yep.
don't do a single thing for that.
That's amazing. And I think the problem is now, Nicola, is that there's so much information out there. Every time I go on, I try to reduce the time, but every time I go on social media, you get bombarded with, these so-called experts, gurus, blah blah blah, and deep down that it's not, it is too good to be true, and it isn't, you know, worth going down that rabbit hole. But so many people do, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of teachers, even there's even a lot of people who are out to work with teachers. And again, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I've taken some of these courses, I've taken some of these programs, and they've really helped me. So I would say investing in myself was a great thing that I did, because it enabled me to open up my streams of income, the way that I do what I do in terms of my, my work. So what would your advice be in terms of making investments in yourself, in terms of, upskilling, learning new strategies, learning new ways of working, improving your, your education, your skills? What advice would you give on that topic?
It is, and like you said, you've got to weed through. You've got to make sure you're reading testimonials and
Yeah.
you're getting somebody who's legitimate and is going to help you. But it's what I did. So a year ago, about a week from now, actually, I was just about to start it's Rachel Roberts' Flourishing Foundation course. That happened to be right for me because she's from a TEFL writing background as well as teaching background. But there's plenty of people that really concentrate on teachers, and I did her course because I recognized that I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to do marketing. I don't know what's supposed to be on my website. I could see these gaps. Like I said, I know about creating educational materials, but what had always put me off having any kind of business was I didn't know how to run a business.
Yep.
And so for me, investing in that, it paid for itself.
Exactly.
Pretty much a few weeks after I finished the course, I launched my own course and I made the money back. Yep. And I see these kind of testimonials from people on a lot of the courses that are offered by people who are really good at what they do in the industry. And they just teach you basically how to make money, how to make more of it, how to make it smarter. And I think that this profession is possibly because of COVID, but it started to free itself from the shackles of working for low-paying employers, be that a website, the normal culprits, or a language school.
Yep.
So if you're doing it for yourself, you can earn the money back that you've invested in that course. And, I did another course at the end of last year. Joe Gakonga's got a course about creating video, and it's very much aimed at teachers. And it's, so that you can create video content that's just like evergreen content that people will be teaching. And I knew nothing, again, about editing video, but now I'm turning my course into a video-based course. I know I will pay for that course.
Yep. Yeah, that's amazing. And this is something we've talked about a lot as teachers, as ESL, TEFL, whatever it is, whatever type of English we're in. It's not restricting yourself to one thing only. It's how can I use my skills, my experience, my knowledge, and how can I make that work for me? So, again, it's been a long journey for me. I've been in this field for 12 years now, and doesn't seem, it might be a cup of tea to some people, but I've at least been able to, okay, this is what I enjoy teaching. Here's how I can develop that. So here's an online course. Here's a group course. Here's a materials development. Okay, I'm going to license those materials. I'm going to do this testing. So again, how do you expand that knowledge, and how do you balance it as well? That's really tough to do as well. But in terms of the, there's a lot of people coming into this field who have come into this field the last couple of years, especially with COVID and everything. So if, let's say you met a new teacher or a teacher who's been doing this 4 months or maybe part-time even, what advice would you give them in terms of the financial side and professional development, where that's concerned? What advice and steps would you give?
Get a pension.
There we go.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And a pension sounds really boring, but what a pension is free money. And okay, it's free money when you're older, but you'll be really happy about it when you take it. And that's the first thing, I think, because you do want something that's building up over your whole lifetime. You do want something you can't touch.
Yes.
Because the temptation, like you did, the temptation to spend it is high.
Of course.
So do that, and it might be what you'll need to do is find out what the deal is in the country where you're working. And for a lot of people, it might be that it's better to set up that thing in their home country, as long as you've still got bank accounts there and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some research to do, but get a pension and set it up and pay into it and forget about it. And then the other thing is just learn about other types of investing that are accessible to you at whatever age you want to access the money.
Yep.
Because again, it depends where you're from, but in America, there's tax-free investing.
Yes.
The Roth IRA, the 401k, those would be
Yes.
your things. If you're in the UK, it's an ISA, and there's different types of ISA now, but it's learning what is on offer to me. And the thing is, once you know about how investing works in general, you know what questions to ask, you know where to go and find the information. It becomes really easy, but it's very hard the other way around, which is the way I came at it, where I'm starting to try to work out what the questions are, and then I'm going to wade through all the mountains of information that's out there. And it took me a good 6 months to work it all out by myself.
Yep.
I'm cutting that time down for people to 6 weeks if they take my course, but it's not that you can't learn about it by yourself. the information is all out there, but it just takes a lot
How
of
do you
weeding.
wade through all the
Yeah.
rubbish, get what you need, and put it together, which is great. And I think this is what a lot of us do as teachers. We try to
Hmm.
help our students or our clients by cutting out all the nonsense and just condensing, putting all the good stuff together in one place, and that's where the real value is, I think. And it's nice what you said as well about just get a pension, just get it started, get it going. Another thing, again, maybe you can help me with this, is I found actually setting up a business sounds really daunting and really scary and really
Hmm.
terrifying, but it's actually quite easy nowadays, and there's a lot of tools you can use. And the benefits I found of starting a business was, okay, in terms of my accounts, in terms of things I can write off, in terms of my training, I can even get rebates for that kind of thing as
Mm.
well. So would you, if you're at a certain level, would you advise starting up a business in that sense, or just kind of keeping it
I
a
think that anybody who is
independent thing?
teaching private students has already got their own business. So
Yes.
I think the mindset is, you know what, I'm already doing this. So why don't I just go and learn about some other aspects
Yes.
of it, which is probably what do you put on a website and how do you market yourself, more than just word of mouth, or the other ways that we tend to pick up students, which is
Yeah.
luck. Basically, my students always came to me by luck. So
Yeah.
formalizing those processes, because it is really easy to learn now, and it is really easy to have a website. Even if you just have a blog on WordPress for free,
Yes.
if you don't like, there's a way of setting it up so that your front page is the static page instead of the blog post. That's a website.
Yep, exactly. And it's really well, it's not funny, but it's quite interesting because I've talked to people on, other colleagues who I've got 100,000 followers, I've got 80,000 followers, but I'm not making any money. Well, you have a great, and I say you have a great Instagram page, but you don't have a business, or
Mm,
you have really great content, but how are you gonna use that content and harness that content so that you can make it into a business? So I think
yeah.
that's the next step. So could you tell us a little bit more about your program, what it is, how it works, and how people can find out more about it?
Okay, so the best way to find out about it, the website is www.chilledinvestor.com, because the philosophy was always this isn't a stressful thing.
Yeah.
It's, it's not that hard to learn. If somebody teaches you, it's not that hard to set up. And then after that, you just chill out and let your money come.
Love it.
So, and also you need to be chilled out about the whole process, because the ups and downs of investing, you need to just not panic. So that's why I called the website Chilled Investor. And then the course is at the moment running a little bit video based with some live input. And I'm just, every time I teach it, I tweak the format a little bit more. So eventually I think it will be 100% video based that people can just self-study. But it basically takes 6 weeks. It's about an hour a week of your time, maybe another half an hour for the homework. And by the end of the course, you will have worked out a strategy, because I help people work out their strategy. And again, that sounds frightening, but it isn't. It's just, what are you going to invest in? How much are you going to put in a month? When in the month are you going to put it in? And then you're sorted. And then all you have to do is open the accounts. And that is a bit of a pain in the neck, to be honest. Different countries make it more difficult for you than others because of just, the ID. It's like setting up a bank account. Some banks it's just done in 10 minutes, and others they want you to go and sign over your firstborn child before they'll let you have the account. So it is a bit annoying, but once it's done, and it's just something on your to-do list, and then it's done. Forget about it, or become like me and get really interested in it, and work out a way that you can, I don't know, teach financial English. Because once you've learned about this stuff, you can then go back to your English teaching skill set and be like, oh, I now can target top level finance people, whereas before you might have been terrified of those people because you just wouldn't know what to
Fantastic.
talk to them about.
It's a huge
Now,
opportunity. Yeah.
yeah, now you would know
Massive.
loads. And financial English is definitely something that makes money.
Absolutely. The banking and financial sectors are huge, so there's a lot of opportunity there as well. Wow, amazing. Okay, so chilledinvestor.com. Are there any other ways we can get in touch with you, Nicola?
LinkedIn's the best. That's my active social media platform. I don't really use the others for work.
Fantastic.
And so, yeah, find me on LinkedIn because I post there quite a bit. And the best thing is get on my mailing list. If you go to the website, sorry, that'll be a bit to cut out. If you go to the website, the contact page will lead you to where you can sign up for my mailing list. And I email people once a week. As a writer, my mailing list is my favorite thing to do because it's just writing. I get to write about what I want. And,
Fantastic.
and it's never just about investing. because I find that most of my audience aren't really interested in investing by itself. Just, kind of want to hear somebody telling them about other things. So get on the mailing list, and then you'll always know when is the next course and other things, because I'm starting to put together little other shorter workshops and things now for people on sort of just tangential topics.
Incredible. Yeah, I'll add those links to the description on the podcast. So that's fantastic. And just thank you again for taking some time to talk to us today, Nicola. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alrighty.